Carlos Alcaraz versus Novak Djokovic. It's Wimbledon final day, and it's going to be one of the greatest sporting days in British history on the grass of Wimbledon before, and then onto the grass courts in Berlin for the football. With England playing Spain, we have a Spanish player at Wimbledon in Carlos Alcaraz. We have the 10-time finalist in Novak Djokovic at Wimbledon. It's going to be a massive day. This is our preview.
That's right, it is the final of Wimbledon on the men's side. Finally, we're here. 2 weeks of action, and an action-packed Wimbledon it was. The most 5-set matches we've ever seen at a Wimbledon, and now we could be teeing up for another one. I mean, last year's final, it is a repeat of it, and we know what happened last year. It was an absolute epic. Carlos Alcaraz won his first ever Wimbledon title and denied Djokovic his number 8 to equal Federer. But look, he's back again. It's Djokovic, the king of revenge, some may say, on the tennis tour, and he's back. His knee looks fine, and we had 2 semi-finals today that were really competitive, but won in quite dominant fashion, weren't they?
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. I went for both of them to be 5 sets because of the magic of Wimbledon this year and how many 5-set matches. That wasn't to be. Saying that, did I not have Alcaraz to win in 4? I think we both had that prediction, which was correct, if I'm not wrong, which is good for us. We both predicted the Alcaraz-Djokovic final based off our video yesterday, and that's exactly what we got. But
yeah,
there was more to it. Alcaraz, let's begin with, because the first set against Daniil Medvedev, his first serve percentage, probably one of the worst I've seen from a Carlos Alcaraz match ever. He couldn't find a first serve. It was becoming a bit of an ongoing joke throughout the match. He was referencing it throughout. You could see he's getting frustrated. There was a period where Medvedev got extremely frustrated himself and almost got defaulted from the match. I don't know if you realised that. There were some claims of him swearing at the umpire
3 times, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah, but that wasn't proven. And I'll be honest, I saw the video. I don't want to spend too much time on it, so I don't know. But it definitely had a bit of jeopardy. Let us know what you guys think in the comments section. After the first set, though, Alcaraz was better, but it certainly wasn't a trademark performance. And if anything, that encourages me so much for this final because he was able to beat Daniil Medvedev without playing very well. I would say I would score him for the whole match as a whole a 7 out of 10. Yeah. And Alcaraz consistently puts out these 8 and 9 out of 10 performances. He's going to need an 8 or 9 or maybe a 10 against Novak Djokovic in this final. And he certainly can raise his level to that. But today wasn't his best. Medvedev, I thought, was pretty good and solid. But he found a way, and he's just a fantastic tennis player. He really is. There's nothing he can't do. He looks physically so strong, so mature. And I hope, in a way, that we see the best version of him, at least, on the final, because he's the only Spanish person I want to be happy on Sunday.
That's it. I mean, I don't want any of them to be happy, to be honest. So I'm going to be cheering against all Spaniards on Sunday. Come on, Djokovic, and come on, England. Hopefully, Djokovic comes on court in an England shirt. That would really help his cause, I think. Get the crowd behind him.
What a brilliant idea. Brilliant idea. He comes in with a British flag, St. George's flag behind him, the Wimbledon crowd getting behind him. And he's been asked in the press conference a few times, do you think you're going to get more love in this final and everyone going against Alcaraz because he's Spanish on a big, big day? One of the biggest days in British football history. What do you think?
It's massive. I think he will get. I think it will push a few people towards him on that day. It's a very special day for England, and there's going to be a lot of people who are going to have their alliances and thinking, if I start supporting Alcaraz right now, they might push something in the favour of Spain, and they might get a lift somewhere. Like over in Germany. We don't want to give them a lift before the match has even started. So if we can just crush the spirits a little bit, get Djokovic a win, And then England, they might be able to then go on and do what's going to be an even tougher test, I think, than beating Carlos Alcaraz, to be honest.
Well,
But
the last time we had a Euros final where England were in, it was England-Italy at Wembley, and Novak Djokovic was playing Berrettini, and we were thinking, is it going to be the Italian double? And it wasn't, because Berrettini lost, Djokovic
how
won, and
weird.
Italy beat England. So maybe we need Djokovic to lose for England to win, because when Djokovic wins Wimbledon, England lose in the final.
I mean, that one, I think we were just a bit cursed because it was actually in England as well. I don't think it ever plays out too well. Even apart from the World Cup, we actually
Oh,
won.
you say that. England have never won a major tournament or outside of British soil.
But haven't we only ever won
The one,
the
yeah.
World Cup? Well, we won. There was one, but it wasn't really an official one. We won the Tournoi. Do you remember that one? That was probably before your time.
Yeah.
I think that was France '98 or something.
Back
like
to the
that.
tennis.
Anyway, there's enough football. We get deviating. We can speak about that once everything's done on Sunday. We've got a day off from men's tennis, and we're going to go on to women's tomorrow, which is exciting as well. That's the Italian day tomorrow. Carlos Alcaraz, let's speak about him first because we are on that match. And I think that Daniel Medvedev, I want to speak about him because I think he's earned his stripes in this tournament because he's had a fantastic Wimbledon. Getting to another semi-final is not an easy thing to do, and he's proved himself yet again. I think he played pretty well in that first set. He did what he did against Jannik Sinner. He came out fast. He looked aggressive. He was really trying to take the match to Carlos Alcaraz early. He broke him, got broken back, and then got pushed all the way to the tiebreak. And he actually held strong and actually looked like the better player, I thought, in the first set. But then again, if you look at the last three sets, it's pretty much the same as last year's semi-final, isn't it? 6-3, 6-3, 6-3 last year. Daniel Medvedev won the first set, and then it was 6-3, 6-4, 6-4 this year. So it's like nearly the same match, really. But Carlos Alcaraz, I don't think, played as well this year, and that's like you said. It was a great performance, really, because he didn't really play that great. So if he can beat Medvedev playing not that great, it's going to be scary if he does start playing 10 out of 10, because Djokovic played fantastic as well. We'll get onto that in a second.
Yeah.
But I thought...
Showed his maturity. He showed his maturity massively.
Exactly.
And one big stat is he's the first player outside the big four to make the final of Roland Garros and Wimbledon in the same year.
Yeah. I mean, it's massive, isn't it? I mean, it's an absolutely huge statistic, this one. In 25 years. I mean, it's just absolutely mad. That goes with how crazy is it that we had obviously Jasmine Paolini getting to the final of Roland Garros, now getting to the final of Wimbledon. Carlos Alcaraz, final of Roland Garros, final of Wimbledon.
Doesn't happen often, and now it keeps happening. So Alcaraz, Djokovic had a lot of kind words to say about him. He's going to be here for many, many years to come. This is not going to be his second Wimbledon final and his last. He's going to be here, I think, when Djokovic retires most years. And Musetti probably has some chances as well because he didn't play badly against Djokovic.
I thought he was brilliant, though.
And let's just speak about that next because it is kind of something I've got to get off my chest. I have been extremely dismissive of Novak Djokovic throughout the event. He himself said he wasn't sure if he was going to be playing the tournament. He knew a few days before, 3 days before, he was 50-50, and then he did end up entering. And now he's managed to get all the way to the final. All you can do is take your hat off to Novak Djokovic or what he's been able to achieve. There's no doubt he is, I don't even know how to explain it, like an act of God. He's not really real. He does things which no one can replicate. You see his aura when he's walking down the tunnel. Players are scared of him, and he definitely has this aura. Musetti, as much as you can say he's fearless at times, he was just beaten by Novak Djokovic again, and it was beaten in his soul. Musetti played a really good match. Shot for shot, there wasn't that much in it, but the big moments, Djokovic will win. Him serving up for the match, love 30, break point. He's going to just turn it around. He'll find a big serve, find a big moment. And that is where no one can match Djokovic, I don't think. I don't think any player in the history of the sport has ever found big moments from nowhere, really. He doesn't even have to play very well the few points before. On a big moment, he'll find a big serve. He'll find a real good winner or a nice volley. He won't miss. He simply will not make a mistake at a big time. And Roger Federer realised that in 2019 in the final.
Most definitely. I mean, it's the glaring one which comes to mind. The stuff he does on a tennis court. Today, Lorenzo Musetti, I thought that the comparisons with this one were sort of like the comparisons of when Djokovic beat Daniel Medvedev in straight sets. And it was such a close match, but it was a straight sets win. And it was like one of those matches today where I thought Musetti played some exquisite tennis. Some of the best shots of the entire tournament were done by Musetti today. Like
Agreed.
the passing shot on the run. I mean, he just nonchalant. It was like a squash shot or something. I don't know what he was doing. It was just unbelievable. But that is the level he brings, yet it's still not enough. And that's just testament to Djokovic. How does he keep doing it time and time again? He comes onto a tennis court against somebody who's playing the best tennis of his career at the moment, Lorenzo Musetti, and he made it look, like you said, the big moments, he turns it on. Even though Musetti, he was down a break in that first set, managed to break back as Djokovic was serving out for the set. And then he broke him straight back again. So Djokovic always has an answer. That's the problem.
Always has one little trick up his sleeve, and Musetti was really good today. You can't fault him that much. I mean,
no.
If you look at just highlight moments and flair, he's probably one of the top flair players in the world. That's why the Alcaraz Musetti final would have been a real flair YouTube highlights, YouTube reels type of match. You're not going to get that so much with a Djokovic one, but what you'll get is probably a fiercer encounter, which is going to probably could be like a 5-6 hour affair where they're both going toe to toe, seeing incredible tennis, incredible long rallies, big moments, and we're geared for a great final.
Yeah, I mean, look at these stats on the screen. I mean, this speaks volumes. This is what you do against Djokovic, and you've still lost the match. Both hit the same amount of winners in the match, 34. Musetti had less unforced errors than Djokovic in the match, 22 to Djokovic's 31, but he still lost the match. Because Djokovic, doesn't matter if he makes those unforced errors at like other times during games, when the big moments come up, he doesn't make those errors then. And that's probably more likely when those unforced errors came from Lorenzo Musetti. So you have a look at total points won for the match. I mean, looks quite lopsided though. I mean, he beat him convincingly, even though it was competitive. And I think I think I watched some interview with, I think it was Roger Federer who was talking about it. I think he did that a speech recently. And it was like quite a good speech. And he was saying about in his career, I think he had won only 54% of all the points that he'd played. But he had that illustrious career. And he said that's the fine margins you have in tennis. So you never give up, because even if you're losing points and you're losing games, you can still win matches and still win lots of Grand Slam titles. Because tennis is a match of sort of like percentages, really. Small, fine margins. So...
Well, the scoring system of tennis is good in one way, because you can be losing for about 2 hours of play heavily.
Yeah.
And you can still turn it around and have an hour of magic and win a match. Because that's how the way the tennis scoring system works. You can't do that in any sport. You can't get dominated for like the duration and then come back and win. I mean, in theory you could, but it's a lot harder to do. In tennis, it's really only done until that final ball. Until you've secured the match point, that's the only time it's really done. In football, if you're 5-0 up, it's difficult to come back. One thing on Novak Djokovic is some stats, some numbers. So this now is his 37th major final.
Wow.
I don't know if you realise that. He's also 37 years old. Is that right?
Yes.
So as many finals as years on this earth. And he's reached 10 Australian Open finals. He's got a 10 and love record. French Open, 7 finals, 3 wins, 4 losses. Wimbledon, this is now his 10th as well, so tied the Australian Open. And he's got 7 wins, 2 losses. The US Open, he's already hit 10. and that's 4 wins, 6 losses. So the US Open's the one he's not done so well in the finals. Wimbledon 7-2. Is it going to be 8-2?
I mean, we're going to get onto our predictions at the end. I mean, I definitely will give you my prediction. I want to have a look before we do that at what happened last year. And I thought Gil put out some really good tweets today. He was obviously speaking about this, and I thought this was one of my favourite ones. Obviously, when there's a comparison with another sport, I like it. And he said, if tennis was like boxing or the UFC, the promoters would have scheduled an immediate rematch after the Djokovic-Alcaraz Wimbledon final last year. Feels so right to get it. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. One of those matches that was razor close, and you would always watch it time and time again. It's the best match in tennis, isn't it?
Yes and no. I think it is the best match in tennis until what we've seen with Yannick Sinner recently. And now the Alcaraz Sinner match for me is just as good as an Alcaraz Djokovic one. The Sinner Djokovic hasn't produced. It's been good, but the Australian Open, Sinner steamrolled him. I can't remember when was the last time Alcaraz played Djokovic. Let's bring up some of their head-to-heads because
the last time they played was at the Nitto ATP finals. Djokovic beat him in the semi-finals in straight sets. But then before that was the epic Cincinnati final where Djokovic came back and won in, what was it? It was nearly 4 hours, that final, in a 3-set match, which was one of the most insane 3-set matches I think I've ever watched in my whole entire life. So that, I mean, before that obviously was Wimbledon, and Djokovic got his revenge back in Cincinnati.
I feel like the theme of these two when they play, and it happened at Roland Garros as well, is we get a really long second set. At Wimbledon last year it was an 1 hour 25. I feel like the one at Roland Garros was similar, and it killed Alcaraz off. So that second set is very, very important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in Cincinnati, it was an hour and 10. Then the final set was 1 hour 40, which is just crazy. One set can take that long between these two. And that's on, it should be quicker on grass, though, you would think. I mean, but looking back at last year's final, this is what happened in last year's final, just in case anyone needs a refresher. 6-1 Djokovic in the first set, 7-6. Carlos Alcaraz in the second, and then 6-1 in the third.
An hour. It was an hour, 6-1.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy, isn't it? I mean, let's go and have a look just to refresh our memory of what happened. Then that is why, isn't it? That one game is that entire set. How many juices were there?
Gosh,
1, 2,
a lot.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's probably about 12, was it? 13? That's a ridiculous number, but that's how you get that crazy long 6-1 set, and then obviously 6-3 to Djokovic, and then I mean that final set there was some amazing tennis which I didn't even expect to see, and I think Djokovic was surprised last year to see how well Alcaraz held
You
his
thought
nerve.
Djokovic had it wrapped up, didn't you, in that fifth? I kind of did, but I was hoping it wouldn't. It had that feeling with Djokovic.
I still remember that lob, and then just Alcaraz, just the way, just the fist pump, Djokovic just looking a bit dejected and just like, how is this kid still here? It's like no one's still here competing at this high level with me. Come like the back end of the fifth set, the last person who probably did it was Federer. And was he getting shades of that at that time? But maybe even worse because it was a young kid down the other end doing it, and he probably felt like the old man on court. And watching this youngster turning up the heat on him, he'll be looking for revenge, though. That's the best thing about this one. I love a rematch, and I love it on the same surface. I love the fact that the sun's come back a bit as well now. Like, we're getting a little bit better weather, ready for the final. It's going to be a real epic one again, I think.
Can you just hit the odds? Because you're going to be very surprised to see what the odds are for this year. So hit the odds button there. Let's see what it was last year. Just there, Ben, on the screen.
Just
right at the top, next to the match. No,
it's here.
Oh, okay, you got it there as well.
Yeah,
but you can, if you hit the odds, you can see the player. Go up one.
Ah, okay, got it.
There you go.
Okay,
Oh no, you can't really see the player anyway. Same thing. So it's 2.63 for Alcaraz, 1.53 for Djokovic. That was the odds last year. This year, it's turned around. Alcaraz, 1.62 or 1.67 there. And Djokovic is the underdog, 2.3.
Wow. I mean, if you're ever going to put a bet on
Djokovic at over evens to win a Wimbledon, being in a final.
when was the last time he had he was the underdog in a Wimbledon final?
It would have happened in one. It would have happened
Yeah.
in one of the previous 9
For
against
sure.
Roger Federer
Yeah, I would have thought so.
a few times.
What about Andy Murray? That one was probably quite even, I would have thought, coming into
He would have been favourite for that.
Probably, but I reckon it still would have been quite close. But this one, if you're a betting man, put your money down. Maybe the Djokovic England double is the way to go on Sunday. I might put it on myself because if I win, I'm going on holiday next week, so maybe I'll have a lot to celebrate.
Yeah, I think a more secure way is, guys, if you want to support the channel, join the Patreon. Don't let Ben bet, and he's going to be homeless.
Probably, I thought you were going to say the safer bet is just put it on Alcaraz and Spain. Then it probably double your money or something. Who knows? Should we get on to some predictions?
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's get straight into the big ones. I have said my apologies about dismissing Djokovic. I think his draw has been relatively comfortable, but not his fault. He's done well and played some good matches. Musetti was really good, and I don't want to be dismissive of him at all. It's not like I feel like it's a bottle effect. It wasn't as bad as previous times. And we're left with these two.
Do you want their roots so you can see who they've beaten along the way?
I don't want to embarrass. I'm going to just say the same thing. I mean, Alcaraz he's had a few tough players there. Tommy Paul, Medvedev. Forget the other rounds, but Tommy Paul, Medvedev is really, really tough. Humbert as well. He's got ability. Did he play Sorundolo? Sorry.
No.
I just saw Sorundolo. That must have been the tournament before.
Yeah. That
was in Queens. And then Djokovic, who did he have?
Oh,
let's have a look.
Toughest.
First round was Kopriva, then Fernley, then Poprin, then Runa, who was shocking. Probably the worst player he played. De Minaur didn't turn up, and Musetti. And then he's into a final.
He's only dropped 2 sets on the way to this final.
Listen, if you gave Daniel Medvedev, Sinner, or Alcaraz that same draw, they'd have all got to the final without breaking sweat. You could probably give it to Dimitrov, and he would have made it to the final as well.
Ooh. I would like to have. If
he
got injured.
Or Zverev. Most any of the top players, you give them this run and they get to the final.
Well, Zverev got knocked out by Fritz. He was in the same section.
I guess, but Fritz
Ruined
is not
it for himself.
Fritz is not a mental giant.
No, definitely far from a mental giant, that's for sure. Right, let's get back to the head-to-head. Djokovic leads it 3 matches to 2. He has won their last 2 meetings as well. It seems that each time Alcaraz beats him, he comes back and beats him again. Is it going to be Alcaraz's turn this time, though? He won the only time they played on grass, which seems like the weirdest thing to say in their head-to-head. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go first with my prediction on this one. Do I set the scene a little bit? It's going to be...
Yeah, you do the sets this time.
Yeah, Alcaraz comes out onto court. He walks out onto court and they're like, Carlos Alcaraz. The crowd cheer a bit. There's a few like little boo. There's a couple of boos actually, like people with England shirts on in the crowd like that, and there's a bit of like people like, oh, who did that? And then Djokovic comes out like he's the man mountain of Wimbledon, going for his 8th title in his 10th final. Comes out, looks like a man with a mission. And so he comes out into court. Yeah, man with a plan, man on a mission. He's got his sights set. He doesn't take his eyes off Carlos Alcaraz when he comes on the tennis court. They get into the first set.
Yet. Oh, finally.
Djokovic then just says good night and then walks off again. No, he doesn't. They start playing, and it's a quick start. Novak Djokovic starts super fast, as you normally see him do in big matches. He takes the match to Alcaraz and he catches him cold. And he takes the first set, and it's a convincing one. It's a 6-2 for Novak Djokovic in the first set. Alcaraz doesn't know what's quite happening. The second set goes to tiebreak. It's the big, long second set like you always expect from these two. And Djokovic takes this one as well. It's 2 sets to love. But Alcaraz is never out of it. He fights back. He's looking to his box. He doesn't know what's going wrong. He's screaming. He wins the next set. This one is 6-4, I believe. And then it goes into a fourth, and it's back and forth. There's breaks of serve on either player. But I believe Djokovic wins in 4 sets, and I think it will be 7-5 Djokovic in the fourth.
Ridiculous. Ben has Novak Djokovic winning Wimbledon and beating Carlos Alcaraz. I think it goes slightly differently to what you've said. I think Carlos Alcaraz takes the first set. And by the way, I'm not going to do a big dramatic story like you did. I think the viewers will fall asleep and log off.
I love it.
I'm going to have Carlos Alcaraz winning the first set in a tie-break. Really good first set. I then have Carlos Alcaraz winning the second set in more convincing fashion, 6-4. I'll then have Djokovic winning the third in extremely convincing fashion, 6-1. I then will have a really, really tight fourth set where everyone's thinking Djokovic is going to win. It's going to go to 5. It's 5-all. Alcaraz holds to go 6-5, and Djokovic 15-40. He's struggling on his serve. It's a double fault to set up the match point. There's 2 of them. Djokovic does a big ace to save one, and then the second one, Alcaraz slots down the line. Nice forehand, falls to his knees, and the rest is history. And that is the only Spanish success you're going to be getting on Sunday, the 14th of July.
Boo. Are there going to be any boos?
There's going to be one happy Spaniard in the world on Sunday. Maybe 2. Wow. Is that his dad?
What about Ferrero? He might be out.
3. There'll be a few scattered Alcaraz fans.
His family might be jumping for joy. But other than that, everyone really sad.
Yeah, because Spain are going to lose to England as well.
Let us know in the comment section if you believe me or do you believe JG. Or tell us if you've got a completely different scenario. Does Djokovic just steamroll him in straight sets? He's just sick of waiting around. Or does Alcaraz just win in straight sets? He doesn't want to miss the football. You know how keen he is. And he was getting a little bit of stick, wasn't he, on the court today? Because he said it's going to be a good day for Spanish people as well. And everyone booed him. It's like, oh, no, I didn't say Spain is going to win. I just said it's going to be a really fun day. Yeah,
it is going to be a really fun day, though. I can't wait. I've been thinking about Sunday all day today, I must admit. Work Monday is a complete write-off. I think it's going to be a day from the moment I wake up covered in sport. We're going to be covering the final on the channel. We'll be doing, obviously, the women's tomorrow. And then beyond that, we're going to be enjoying the football. And hopefully England can bring it home for the first time in our lifetime. Me and Ben have never seen it in our lifetime. And it will be something magical and history. Last thing left to say is...
Our Spanish hero has come to entertain. Our Spanish prince, he's glad you came.
Vamos, Carlos Alcaraz, Alcaraz. Whoa, get your lighters up, everyone. There we go. Exciting. Come on, vamos, Carlitos, let's do it. I do not want to have to eat a hat. If Novak Djokovic is to win, I will tell you now, on stream, I will get a hat and I will be eating it for you all to watch because I'm confident Djokovic will not be eating any grass.
I can't wait. He can have a grass sandwich. You can have a big old juicy hat, and I can't wait to watch you eat it.
All right. But let us know your comments, guys, in the comment section below.
Oh.
Who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is going to win the football? Make sure to like and subscribe. And
yeah, I just remembered we got one question from Gary on the Patreon that we said that we would answer. And if you want to join the Patreon, we will be answering your questions on podcasts. So we put out posts on our Patreon, and we will be answering all of them. Let's just get to those now. I'll just read them out. I won't put them up on the screen. This is what Gary says. He says, in my eyes, Musetti played immense tennis today. He challenged Novak point by point, shot for shot. Do you still see Lorenzo climbing to the top of the elite next generation? And could he maybe even surpass Holger Rune?
definitely, 100%. I think he's already there. He is one of the top players in the world. Definitely a top 10 player. Needs to improve to become closer to top 5. Between sort of 7, 8, 9, more out there at the moment. But a brilliant tennis player, big future in the game. I think if you're going to want to buy a ticket, there's not many players you'd rather watch than him.
Oh, definitely. And I think the only thing he needs to improve on is maybe hardcore. And once he's got that, then he's got the whole package.
Needs to improve his returns. He needs to return better if he wants to be a top player. Djokovic showed him how to do it today.
And some more. But yeah, that's it. That's the episode done. Make sure, like, subscribe, join us on Spotify as well. Give us a review on there, and we'll see you for the finals.
See you soon.
Pensi che meritate di vincere domenica?
Sì, e penso che l'Inghilterra, per quello che ha dimostrato in queste partite, abbia un livello superiore alle altre squadre e che la Spagna si troverà in difficoltà. Ora andiamo a prenderci la coppa. Forza!
Dove la vedrete la finale?
Ancora non lo so, ma potrei anche andare in Germania.